Paul Kensington's heart froze before he even stepped inside the hospital room. The faint beeping of monitors was drowned out by a strangled gasp. Micah's tiny body shook under the weight of someone's hands, and the woman he vowed to love, Samantha, was pressing her fury, her hatred, down on his adopted son. Hey everyone, excited to share today's story? Subscribe, comment, and catch tomorrow's. The cold hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic, a sterile scent Paul had grown used to in boardrooms, but tonight it clawed at his chest. His mind raced. Micah, his 7-year-old son, had been battling a rare infection for weeks, his skin dark against the crisp white sheets. Paul had called every specialist, flown in experts, done everything, yet nothing could have prepared him for the scene that greeted him. Samantha stood over the bed, her hands gripping Micah's tiny throat, eyes blazing with something Paul had never seen: hatred. She had removed the medical monitors, the IV lines, the oxygen that kept him alive. His body froze. He could barely breathe as the reality sank in. The boy coughed, weak, gasping, looking toward the door as if pleading for help. Paul's mind flashed to every whispered comment he'd ignored. The subtle disdain from Samantha, the sideways glances at his son, the cold words never meant to be heard. Racism, he realized, had been creeping into their home, hidden behind the smile of his perfect wife. Micah whimpered, clutching the bare sheets, and Paul's chest burned with fury and grief. He rushed forward, shouting Samantha's name, the echo bouncing off sterile walls, startling nurses in the hallway. If you've ever felt helpless watching someone you love suffer, imagine the courage it takes to intervene. Sharing your own story or subscribing can honor those moments of bravery and make sure no child suffers in silence. Paul's hands shook as he yanked Samantha off Micah, cradling his son's frail body to his chest. The boy's little lungs wheezed, tears streaking his dark cheeks. "Dad, it hurts." "She's hurting me," Micah whispered, voice breaking. Paul's fury burned hotter than anything he'd felt in the boardroom, hotter than any corporate betrayal. Samantha's face twisted, disbelief mingling with fury. "You think you can tell me how to run this family?" she spat, venom dripping. "He doesn't belong. He's—" Her words shattered on Paul's deafening roar. "He is my son, my family, and you will never, ever harm him again." The nurses burst into the room, shouting orders, but Paul barely noticed. He held Micah close, feeling the trembling, the fear, the silent prayers of a little boy who had already survived more than anyone should. In that moment, he realized how much he had underestimated Samantha's hatred, how it had silently poisoned the home, how he had ignored the microaggressions, the cruel comments aimed at his son's skin, even in his absence. Paul's mind raced back to the adoption papers, to the day he had met Micah in that foster home. The boy's bright eyes had clung to him, a lifeline of trust and hope. How had Samantha's bigotry festered so violently in what was supposed to be their shared love? Micah whimpered again, pressing against Paul's chest, tiny fingers gripping his suit. Paul kissed the top of his son's head, a storm of rage and love crashing inside him. "We're leaving. Right now. I will never let anyone hurt you again," he whispered. What would you have done in Paul's place, witnessing someone you trusted hurting a child? Drop your thoughts below. Sometimes our silence is the heaviest burden. If this story touches your heart, subscribing is more than a click. It's a stand. It's saying, "I care about the innocent. I won't look away." Let your subscription be a promise that love and justice matter. Paul carried Micah out of the hospital room, his arms a shield against the world. The little boy clung to him, tears still wet on his cheeks, but a fragile relief began to blossom. Outside, the night air hit them, crisp and pure, washing away the suffocating fear that had filled the room moments ago. Samantha followed, but Paul's gaze hardened. "You're done here. You will never see Micah again," he said, voice steady, cold as steel. Her attempts to protest fell on deaf ears. Paul knew the law, knew his resources, but above all, he knew the love that bound him to this child. Racism, hatred, cruelty, it had no place in their family. Not anymore, Micah whispered, his tiny hand brushing Paul's cheek. I knew you'd come, he said softly, a fragile smile breaking through the tears. Paul's chest ached, not from anger now, but from overwhelming love. He kissed his son's forehead, promising silently safety, belonging, and a future filled with warmth. If your heart feels heavy or moved by this moment, subscribing isn't just support, it's a vow, a commitment to witness stories that matter, to stand for those who cannot defend themselves, and to honor the power of love overcoming hatred. As they drove away, Paul looked at Micah, watching the boy press his tiny hand against the window, eyes reflecting city lights. The night was theirs now, free from fear. The journey ahead would be long, but for the first time, Micah felt the unshakable truth. He was loved, cherished, and safe. And Paul knew no darkness could ever take that away. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story. There are plenty more amazing stories coming your way. So don't stop here. Just click on the video showing on your screen and keep watching. I'll see you there.